we need to now find the coordinates of some point H, and it gives us a little bit of information. It says that the x coordinate is 5 more than point B. So point B, I don't know what point B is anymore. So let's take a look at point B. Point B is negative 2 comma 0. And we need ours to be 5 more than point B, and we need to make sure it's located in quadrant 4. So taking a look at B, here's B, it needs to be, this point H needs to be 5 more in the x, I think it says the x direction, right? Like it could be, yeah, it says 5 more in the x direction. So 5 more into positive 5, so that means 5 more to the right. So you could think, well, it could be 5 right, 5 left, 5 up, 5 down, but it says in the horizontal, so it's left or right, and then it says it's positive 5, so it's only right. So I need to go over to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where I need to be. I need to be somewhere in that area. But then it says, well, we want it to be only in quadrant 4. And you can see here I've labeled quadrant 4. So it needs to be only somewhere right there. So we're looking at 5 more to the right. So 5 more to the right over to here, and then make sure we're down below. And so that is the yellow area right here. That's where our point could be. And it could be any one of these points. It could be this point, it could be this point, or this point, or this point, or this point. As long as it's at 3. And it can't be, so say one point here is 3, so 3 to the right. Not 5 to the right, 5 from B, but we're going 3 from the origin, so 3 to the right. And then we can't go 1 up because that would be right there. That's 1, 2, 3, and then 1 up. So it can't be 3 comma 1. It can't be 3 comma 2. It needs to head down into quadrant 4. So 3 comma negative 1 could work, which is point F. So we can go 1, 2, 3, and then down to here. That is 5 more to the right, and also is down by 1 into quadrant 4. Or it could be 3 to the right and down by 2. So we could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And maybe this could be our H. Or it could be 3 to the right, down by 3. So 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, down by 3, 1, 2, 3. And this would be our H. So there's a bunch of possibilities. There's a lot of different options. In our little 5 by 5 here area, there's only a few, but this graph theoretically could go on forever, so there's many different options. So I don't want you to get confused when I'm saying 3 to the right, because you might think, well, shouldn't you be going 5 to the right? Well, I am going 5 to the right because 5 to the right is starting from B. But whenever I give a set of instructions, x comma y, it always starts from the origin. So my instructions are starting from here, go 3 to the right, and then down however many we want. So my point H is going to be 3 to the right and down by 2. That's what I'm going to call H. I'll just put letter H here. So H would be 3 to the right and then down 2. But you could also go 3 to the right and down 3, or 3 to the right, down 4, or 3 to the right, down 5. There's many different options. And all of these points would be in quadrant 4, so we got that. And all of these points would be 5 more than point B. And so we satisfied both of those. Now we need to determine a point I, which is located on the x-axis. So on our graph, remember that this is the y-axis, this is the x, so it has to be somewhere here on the x-axis, and has to have one of the same coordinates as point A. Okay, well, what is point A? I should probably take a look at that. Point A, maybe it's over here. Well, I can't seem to erase that thing, so let's just see. Point A is negative 4 comma 5. Negative 4 comma 5. Okay. So point A is negative 4 comma 5. So it needs to either have a negative 4 in it, or we need to have a 5. Whoops. We need to have a 5 in it. So those are, we need to have in those, I imagine, in those spots. So we need to have a negative 4 on the left, or we need to have a positive 5 on the right, and it needs to be along this line. So that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to take a look at my graph here, and it needs to be here somewhere. It has to be on that line, and it needs to either have a negative 4 or a 5. So negative 4 in the x direction. So this, I'm going to zoom down here. This is our x and this is our y. And so I'm going to go in our x direction. And we'll see if we can get a spot here, if I can actually move this. So this point I, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll make this point right here our I. I'll call that letter I. And that point is 4 to the left and up or down nothing. So we would write that point as 4 to the left and up or down nothing. It is on the x-axis, so it is on this line that I was hoping to have. So yes, point I is on that line. And it also shares that same number, negative 4. So that must be my point I, and it's the only option. So negative 4 comma 0. Negative 4 comma 0, that is letter I. And I probably should write that down over here too. Negative 4 comma 0. That is our answer. And sure enough, it matches. Here they both have a negative 4 in them in the exact same spot. Right there. And then it also happens to lie on the x-axis because this is a 0. So those two questions here take a little bit more work than not just plotting any points, but that is it for graphing these kind of weird things. There's no more questions like that, and there's also really very little basic graph this point or this point. Now we're going to be looking at actually data. So that's going to be our next question. There is 2 worksheets to look at down below, I think. So you're going to plot these points. Only 1 worksheet. There's 3 questions. And then we're going to go on to scatter plots next.